Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Viv. This is Art with Viv, and today we are going to do some Christmas doodles, just some easy, quick ones. And it's about that time. It is about that time, people. So the first thing I did is I just drew a straight line. We're going to make a Christmas tree. And the first thing I'm going to do are the little red baubles on the tree, and in my head I'm imagining a triangle, skinnier at the top, wider at the bottom. Now you can draw out an actual triangle for your guide if you need to, but I don't need to. I know what a triangle looks like in my mind. And so I am just going to sort of place these Christmas ornaments closer together at the top, and then add more Christmas ornaments, making it wider at the bottom. When I'm painting them in, I'm leaving a tiny white dot of the paper to shine through to act as the highlight to my ornaments. Coming back in while they're still wet, adding a little bit of a darker red or more concentrated red to give it a shadow. And then once you have all of those in, and I see I have a little bit of a space here, so I'm going to add this one last one just to fill up the space so that it doesn't look empty right there. And once I do that, I'm going to mix up a nice green, and I am going to start doing tiny little brush marks to look like Christmas branches or tree branches. Christmas tree branches. How about that? Christmas tree branches. That's what we're gonna do. And then in the middle, I'm just sort of doing a bunch of little tiny brush strokes, like in the inner part of the tree. On the edges, I'm making it look more like branches. So I'm having an imaginary little branch there, and I'm doing my needles on either side of the branch. And then in the middle and under the ornaments, I'm just doing little brush marks. It doesn't have to look exactly like a Christmas tree. Your brain will fill in everything. You have an amazing brain. And I'm doing this with a lighter green. This is my first pass at it. Once I get all my lighter green down, I'm going to a mid-tone green. I'm going to start concentrating that mid-tone in the center of the tree, but because of course, less light gets to the center of the tree. So it is always darker toward the center, lighter toward the edges or the outside parts of the tree. Some of my lighter green is still wet, and that's fine. Let those blend and just go together. It's perfectly fine. I am trying to make it a little bit darker around the Christmas ornaments to give it some shadow, a little bit of dimension. And we're just going to keep working our way down with that mid-tone green. Once we get all of the mid-tone green in, you guessed it, we're going in with a really dark green, and we're going to keep that mostly to the center and right underneath each one of the ornaments to make it look like the ornaments are casting a shadow. Again, we're just doing tiny little brush strokes. They don't have to be in the exact shape of a branch. It is perfectly fine for them to be just a little bit messy toward the center. What I really focused on was making the branch shapes on the edges of the tree. And inside the tree, I just did tiny little brush marks. Now I'm just going to do a nice yellow, put a little star on our tree, maybe put in a little bit of a deeper goldy yellow to just darken it up, and we have our cute little Christmas tree doodle. You can do this in your journal. You can make it bigger and make a Christmas card out of it if you would like. It would be beautiful with a border on a Christmas card. Oh, just lots of things you could do with it. So now I went ahead and sketched out the rest of my ideas. I've got a really pale ultramarine blue that I mixed with a lot of water, and I'm just going down the sides of my candy cane. That's going to be my shadow. We're going to let that dry, and we'll pop over to our little greenery sprig right next to it while that's drying. I've mixed up a nice sort of a mid-tone green there. You can mix whatever green you like, and I'm just painting these leaves. I'm leaving a little bit of white in the center just to give it some contrast. It's not no real reason. It's not really a highlight. I just decided to do that. Now I'm making a little bit of a deeper green, and while that's still wet, I'm taking my deeper green and dropping that in there, letting those two colors mix and mingle with the wet on wet technique. And I'm just going to continue to paint in these nice little leaves here. They almost look like mistletoe, but not quite. Mistletoe is a little bit different, but it does sort of remind me of mistletoe. But you can make your leaves any shape you want. I just did this shape, and you can of course make them any shade of green that you would like. That is fine too. And while they're wet, I am coming back and adding some of that darker green just to give it some dimension and some shadow and to make it look nice. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Then I am going to do some tiny little almost holly-like leaves, so they're going to be pointy, but I'm not being really careful about the shape. I'm just doing the general shape of spiky little leaves. I'm not trying to paint exact holly leaves. I'm just doing sort of a triangle with spikes around the edges. Or you can do a diamond shape with little spikes around the edges. It's up to you. But as you see, I am not doing anything too frou-frou. These are just doodles. I'm just practicing my watercolors, the little wet on wet techniques, and just doing some brush work. Now, if you're interested, you could join my Patreon. It's patreon.com/artwithviv. The lowest tier starts at $3 a month. Of course, I do have a free tier too, and you get all kinds of bonus content related to my YouTube videos. So I'll link that below so you can check it out. Once I get all my greenery in there, I'm going to do some berries, and I'm doing the berries much like I did the ornaments. I'm just painting around the edges, leaving a little dot in the center for the highlight. I am using a different shade of red for these berries than I did for the ornaments, but you use whatever you have. You could even make the berries blueberries like juniper, like a bluish gray, like juniper on the pine, you know, the juniper pine trees or juniper pine bushes. They have blueberries in there. Not blueberries like you eat, but their berries are like a bluish silvery gray. It's really pretty. I'm adding some smaller berries to my holly underneath and doing the same exact technique. And I'm just kind of filling in the space here and there. And I'm keeping in the rule of odd numbers for composition. Compositions are always more pleasing when you do 1, 3, 5, 7. The group your objects in those numbers and those odd numbers. It always just looks better to the viewer. So that's just one little tip there about composition. Odd numbers always look better. And now I just added a little bit of darker green in some of those areas. Now I'm coming and I'm going to paint the red stripes on my candy cane. That blue has dried. That blue is acting as a shadow color. You could also use a pale green, which is the complement to red. I stuck with blue because some of the candy cane is white and blue looks better as a shadow for white, in my opinion. So instead of doing the complement to red as the shadow, I did blue, and it was an ultramarine, really watered down ultramarine blue. Now, how I'm doing those stripes is on the edges, I'm going with my darker, more concentrated red paint, and then I'm blending it to be lighter with clear water out toward the center and leaving that very center completely white, because that will be the highlight of the candy cane. Now, I got my highlight a little catty-wonka. I didn't pay attention. You know, it's not a perfect highlight going straight around the candy cane. It goes a little wobbly. That's okay. Don't worry about it. These are just doodles. You're practicing, you're learning. When you make mistakes, that's when you learn the most. So don't worry about mistakes. Just get in there and doodle, doodle, doodle. Doodle it on up. So now I'm just keeping on blending out that from darker to lighter, darker on the edges, lighter on the center. Your candy cane is a round shape, so, you know, like a can or a cone, or not a cone. Cones are pointed at the top. But it is a cylindrical, that's the word I'm looking for. It's a cylindrical shape, so it will be darker on the edges and the highlight will be down the center. That's if the light is coming from straight above, which it is. I said so. It's my painting. I can say where I want the light to be coming from. So anyway, that's all you're doing for that candy cane, just getting those red stripes in there, remembering to keep them darker on the edges, using a little clean water to blend it out toward the center to make that red lighter with that clean water, and then leaving the very center part completely white as the highlight. There you go. We're going to let that dry, and then we'll come back and paint the white parts. And yes, we are going to paint the white parts, but all we're really going to do is add shadow. So while it's still wet, I did come back in there with a little concentrated red and did some shadows on the berries and the shadows on the candy cane, the red parts of the candy cane. So I just took a little deeper red while that was still a little bit wet and darkened those up and gave them a little more definition. So now I've got a nice orange, and I'm coming in with a little bit of yellow, and we're going to do this orange slice. I love dried orange slices as a decoration. I love all natural decorations, pine cones, acorns, dried apple slices, dried orange slices. I love that kind of look on a tree. Also, string and popcorn or cranberries. I like the old-fashioned kind of stuff. But anyway, all I did was I first put down some yellow, and I just painted little lines, but I left some of the white of the paper shining through. That's going to be the highlights to the orange. Then I came back with a deeper orange on top of the yellow, and I let it just sort of blend. But I concentrated that deeper orange towards the center of the orange slice and towards the edge of the orange slice, because that's how light would reflect on it. It would be a little darker around the edges, a little darker in the very center, and then lighter in those middle areas. So that's what we did. Now I'm just taking a darker orange. I am doing the rind around the edge. I'm making sure to leave that white space, the white space between the orange peel and the sections of orange, and also white space between each section. You know, that is the white part of the orange, the pith. I think it's called the pith. So we're going to leave that there. We're going to let that dry, and now I'm coming back up to my candy cane with that really watered down ultramarine blue, and I am just coming in there and doing the shadows on the white part of the candy cane. Again, I could have used green because green is the complement to red, but I really feel like blue was the better choice since there's so much white on this candy cane. And for me, blues and grays make a better shadow color for white in this instance. Now, when you get into painting flowers and you're painting a white flower and the green leaves are reflecting on it, then of course you might want to put in some green in your shadows, but we're not worrying about all that. All right, so now I am coming back into my orange with a deeper red orange. I just mixed a little red into my orange mixture, a little warm red, and I'm just darkening up those shadows toward the center and then toward the edges, and I'm just doing little lines, just tiny little brush strokes here and there. They're sort of random. Now I am just darkening out the very outer edge of my rind or the peel, the orange rind, whatever you want to call it. I'm taking a little bit of blue, of that blue that I used for the candy cane shadow, and I'm just putting some shadows on the pith part. We don't want it to just be stark white. It doesn't look realistic. So I'm just using that blue to shadow in some of those areas, just here and there randomly. I'm not doing it too, there's not actually a structure to it, to those shadows, because that surface is bumpy, so the shadows could be anywhere. Now I'm just going to do the bow. I'm doing sort of a reddish orange, and that's all there is going to be to this cute little ornament, this cute little doodle. So I'm just using my reddish orange, my red, it's really a warm red, and painting in the bow that I have on top because I wanted to make it look like a little bit of an ornament. And then I'm going to do a little bit of a deeper red for the other parts of the bow. That was the back parts. I'm doing a watery red, a more dilute red for the front parts of the bow, and I did the deeper red on the back parts of the bow. There you go. Now I got it. Sorry, got it all mixed up there. My brain is not working today. I have been cooking for Thanksgiving. I'm already cooking. I have already baked some cornbread today for my cornbread dressing. I've got sweet potatoes baked for my sweet potato souffle. I've got all my stuff ready to make my white chocolate cheesecake for dessert. I made my brine so that I can soak my turkey in turkey brine tonight. So I have been busy today. I have my son coming for Thanksgiving and I'm so excited. So now what I did was, with that orange mixture that I used for the orange, I just put in a little tiny bit of blue to make it into a brown. Blue and orange will make brown, depending on, the ratio that you use. So I just mixed a little blue, a little orange, got brown, because this set that I have only has 6 colors. It doesn't actually have a brown. It has 2 reds, 2 yellows, and 2 blues. So I am having to mix my other colors, my accessory colors, my secondary and my tertiary colors. So I got my brown, and then I also got a little bit of black there. And the way that I made that black, it's not really a black, is I just mixed in all three primary colors together, red, blue, and yellow, and mixed them so that it turned into it's really a deep charcoal gray. That's what I used for the antlers, the nose, the eyes, and the hooves. And then I'm coming back in, once that dried, with another layer of brown just to darken it up. And you can even add a little bit more of that black mixture into your brown to darken it. Now, just like I did on the candy cane, I'm using that really watered down ultramarine blue to make the shadow on my ornament. And I'm just going along the edges there. Let that dry. And then on the other stripes, like every other stripe, I'm going to do 2 different colors. We're going to start with a deep sort of red, sort of a pinky red. And I am concentrating the paint on the edges, and then just cleaning my brush and using a brush with clean water to blend that edge out toward the center. I want the center to be lighter with more diluted paint, because that is going to be the highlight. If you get a little too much paint, you can lift it. You can just dry your brush off and lift some of that excess water and paint off toward the middle to lighten that highlight there. Simple techniques. Nothing hard. And that's all we're going to do for those red stripes down this beautiful ornament. And then just use clear water to blend the 2 edges to 2 sides together in the middle. We want that middle to be lighter. You can lift some of that up if it's too dark. And I even took a little bit of tissue and just wet the actual surface of the paper, and then took a dry tissue and dabbed up. And that was more effective than trying to dab it up with my brush. Now on top of this, I have a few berries and a few sprigs of pine boughs. So I'm going to just paint my berries in the same technique that we've done for all of our berries and our ornaments. Just paint the circle, leave a little dot, and then I'm just going to do tiny little brush strokes along each side of the branch for my pine sprigs here. You can add in a little bit of darker green if you want to for the shadows. I'm trying to let that red dry. Now I decided to go in with some blue, a nice phthalo blue, and mix it in with my green mixture. And that is the color I'm going to do the second stripes, the alternating stripes. So we're going to have red and blue stripes. Oh, it's almost like red, white, and blue, like the American flag, prettiest flag ever. Anyway, we're doing the same technique. We are putting the concentrated blue toward the edges of the ornament, and then we are just taking clean water, blending that toward the center. We want to leave it as pale as we can in the center, because that is where the highlight is. That is where the light is hitting. The ornament is rounded, so of course where that roundest part pokes out, that's where the highlight's going to be. So just keep that in mind. Oh, I just really love these colors together too. I don't know what possessed me to decide to do blue. I was really thinking gold, but then I would have had to go get my metallic watercolors out, and I'm lazy and didn't feel like doing it. I got a lot of cooking to do, so I did not do that. So we stuck with blue in the colors that we have. Now I just took some of that black and watered it down, that black mixture, watered it down and did the cap to the ornament. And now I'm going to pass over one more layer of dark colors, some shadows on our little deer here. I think he is the cutest little deer. He's very simple. He would look good on a card. You could put him in like a forest scene with maybe some birch trees behind him. It'd be really pretty. So there you go. I hope you have enjoyed this. Now I'm going to do one step. The next step is completely optional. I just wanted to try it to see how it looked. And all I did was took my fine liner black pen and just outlined each one of these. Totally optional. It was fine. You know, it's fine without the outlines. I just wanted to see what it would look like. And this is my sketchbook. This is the place to experiment. So I did, and I decided I would show it to you as well, so you could decide whether you wanted to do it or not. Again, totally optional. You could even add some shadows in there with some line work if you wanted. I just didn't do that yet. And I probably won't. I like the outlines. The outlines make it look more like an illustration. But again, totally optional. You can leave them without the outlines and they are perfectly beautiful. I have enjoyed doing this. Don't forget, I'd love to have you over on my Patreon. You'd get tons of bonus content related to my videos and some that's not related to my videos. Sometimes there's just bonus content, coloring pages, different things that I post. And for December, I'm going to be doing a lot of Christmas decorations. I'm going to be doing some crafting and I'm going to be doing some painting. I've already got a video of clay ornaments up. I'm going to do some metal embossing. I'm also going to do some felt ornaments. Easy things that you can do quick. Some of them you can do with your children, but you know, things I like to do too. All right, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and give my Patreon a try. I would love to have you over there, and a shout out to all my existing patrons. I could not do this without you. Thank y'all so much, and happy Thanksgiving.